Remote work isn't just some trend anymore. It's just how things are now. But this huge shift brings a really critical challenge. How do we effectively train and develop our teams when they're spread out all over the place? So today, we're going to unpack the blueprint for remote training that not only works, but actually thrives, turning what seems like a challenge into a real competitive advantage. Okay, let's just take a second to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this. By 2025, an estimated 36.2 million Americans will be working remotely. That is nearly double what it was before the pandemic. And look, we're not talking about some niche part of the workforce here. This is a fundamental reshaping of our professional world. And it absolutely demands that we completely rethink how we approach employee development. And here's the thing. This isn't just a concern coming from the top. The people on your team are feeling this need firsthand. I mean, a whopping 61% of remote workers are straight up saying they need more training to do their jobs better. The demand for support is coming directly from the people doing the work. And meeting that demand is absolutely key for retention and productivity. Right, so that's the big question, isn't it? How do we answer that call? And let me be clear, it's not about just throwing a few scattered videos or an occasional webinar out there. It's about architecting a system that empowers your team to thrive no matter where they are, fostering innovation and engagement no matter the distance. So let's start building that blueprint. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll kick things off with a planning blueprint, then we'll assemble our toolkit, take a look at best practices in action, and finally, we'll explore how to build a culture of continuous learning that can become a real driver for your business's success. All right, first up, the planning blueprint. This is where success is born. Seriously, don't think of this as just a checklist. It's more like the architectural design for your entire training program. If you build a solid foundation right here, everything that comes after it will be that much stronger and more impactful. Without a solid plan, remote training can feel, kind of all over the place, right? A series of disconnected efforts. But when you're strategic about it, every single piece of content, every tool you choose, it all points back to your big picture business goals, whether that's boosting sales, improving customer service, or getting products out the door faster. So what does that planning actually look like in practice? Well, we can break it down into 4 essential phases. First up, you gotta define your goals. Start with the end in mind. What measurable outcomes do you want to see? Second, design your content around those goals. Third, pick the right tools for the job. And finally, and this is crucial, communicate the plan so everyone's on board. Each step just builds on the last, creating a super clear path to success. Now, a really critical piece of this puzzle is deciding on your delivery format. On one hand, you've got your live synchronous learning. This stuff is awesome for real-time Q&A, discussions, and digging into really complex topics. And on the other hand, you have asynchronous, self-paced learning, which is all about flexibility, especially with different time zones. Honestly, the best strategies usually blend both, using the strengths of each to really maximize how much people learn and remember. Okay, our plan is in place. Now it's time to stock up our toolkit. And this means 2 things: the actual content we're going to teach and the technology we'll use to deliver it. It's all about making sure our team has everything they need right at their fingertips. When it comes to the what of your training, you really need to cover all your bases. That means a smooth onboarding for new hires, role-specific technical skills, the essential compliance and security stuff, and of course, those crucial soft skills like communication and time management. But here's one people often forget: your managers. Seriously, teaching them how to lead remote teams, that's a total game changer for your team's performance. So let's connect the dots here between the need and the tech. Need a central hub for all your content and to track progress? That's where a learning management system, an LMS, comes in. It's your best friend. For those live interactive sessions, video conferencing tools are obviously a must. And to build that sense of community, using platforms people are already on, like Slack or Teams, integrates learning right into their daily workflow. It's all about building a tech stack with a purpose. All right, we've got the plan, we've got the tools. Now it's go time. This is all about execution. We're moving from theory to practice. And the focus here is on creating a learning experience that feels genuinely valuable, not just mandatory. Look, if you take one thing away from this section, let it be this: engagement is everything. I mean, think about it. At home, there are a million distractions. If your learners aren't actively engaged in participating, are they really learning? Probably not. It's really that simple. Okay, so how do we actually create that engagement? Well, there are a few key tactics. First, keep your live sessions short and sweet. That virtual fatigue is real. Second, actually use the interactive features. Polls, breakout rooms, Q&A, get people involved. Also, mix up your formats to keep things interesting. And finally, build a community where learners can help each other out. That turns passive viewing into active collaboration. And engagement is one thing, but we also have to remember a fundamental truth. Adults learn best by doing. Theory is great, but it's the practical application that makes learning stick. That means you've got to have hands-on exercises, simulations, or small projects that mirror real-world work. This part is absolutely non-negotiable if you want skills to actually transfer to the job. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important section. Here, we're making a big shift. We're talking about moving away from thinking about training as just a series of events to building a true, lasting culture of learning. This is the end game. And that really does require a big mindset shift. Training isn't just a box you check off. It becomes this ongoing strategy to constantly upskill and empower your people. It's about creating an organization that's always learning, always adapting, which in today's world is the real key to resilience and growth. So how do you build this culture? Well, it really rests on a few key pillars. You have to constantly evaluate your impact and use feedback to get better. You absolutely need your leadership team to be cheerleaders for this. You should encourage your team to share knowledge with each other. And finally, make everything easily accessible on demand. When all these elements work together, you create a really thriving learning environment. You see, when you put all these pieces together, remote training stops being just some program. It becomes the engine that drives a culture of continuous growth for your entire organization. And that is the ultimate payoff, a more skilled, more engaged, and way more adaptive workforce. So we've walked through the blueprint, we've looked at the tools, we've talked about the best practices. The only question left is for you. How are you going to build a workforce that doesn't just get by remotely, but one that absolutely thrives?